everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Dance Talk Realness, a podcast where we discuss all nuances concerning education and dance because a dance experience is an experience worth talking about. I'm your host, Truly B, here with my awesome as always co-host, Daryl P.
Hey.
And we're back.
I was like, wait a minute, this needs a whole different, we need to circle back to this because it's something that I'm like, as I potentially step into this role as cheer coach again, maybe, I don't know. I mean, by the time this airs, we'll know.
Yeah.
Why do I feel like in this interview, when I was talking about stunting and tumbling and doing jumps and stuff, I feel like my school, they're super good at cheering. Like they have great moves, but I grew up in a very HBCU family, Jackson State University, Go Tigers, right? I grew up going to Alcorn games. I grew up going to PV games. I grew up going to Texas Southern games. And I guess maybe I never paid attention to what their cheerleaders were doing. And I remembered the dance teams and stuff. But I guess, I don't know if doing things like stunting and tumbling, is that because everybody in PG tries to be all the cheer coaches and stuff well, I cheered at a HBCU. And I'm like, so did you guys just cheer? Did you do any stunting? Did you do any tumbling? I kind of feel I don't know if that's a HBCU thing, or is it not?
That is a good question. I know when I was at Norfolk, of course, I didn't really pay attention to the cheerleaders because I was in the band. So I'm worried about my own self. But do I recall them doing anything more than cheering? No. Maybe somebody did a toe touch.
Somebody, but not the entire squad.
Maybe somebody could do some type of a flip or some shit. But do I recall it being an everybody thing?
See, and I feel like that's something that I one, I wonder why not, right? And then two, it's that's something I definitely want to incorporate in there because I feel hold on, why is I'm gonna let him leave a message. Hold on.
We're not gonna respond. It's fine.
We're not gonna respond. But this might be this might be either they're offering me this cheer position or they're going a different direction in the cheer position. I don't know.
We might know right now.
We might know right now. Let me just make sure, sometimes these Apple devices be weird where it doesn't answer on one thing, but it unanswered on my phone, on my computer. And I'm just sitting here talking.
They're calling or sending a message.
They were calling.
Oh.
Yeah, but that's something that I definitely want to incorporate into. I want to incorporate into this, and I wonder, even if I don't get it, I hope that whoever gets it does incorporate that because I feel that, especially in high school, right? In high school, you don't know where these kids are going, and I just feel here's a perfect example. I had a student who was on my dance team in Texas. Awesome dancer, very technical. And she ended up going to PV where she was on the dance team. She actually was a 2-year captain A. But I think the thing that I feel that set her apart from maybe some of the other dancers was that she had that technique and she had it. She wasn't super, she had danced for, I think 3 years. So since from sophomore to senior year with us, because I think her freshman year, she was a cheerleader. But she practiced, she went to a bunch of classes. And, I remember talking to her freshman year at PV and she would say how yes, that HBCU style of dance is difficult, right? It is a skill that she had to learn, and she was like, I feel behind because there's some people here who went to schools that's what they did, and so they've gotten it down. But I think on the flip side of it, she just had I I think she had better technique, and they definitely always, even from her freshman year, highlighted her in a lot of the choreography because she was a strong technical dancer.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like why at some HBCUs we don't focus on that stuff, like focus on the technique
let me
of
go
cheer.
ahead and be clear. That's about to be a whole nother episode also. Because blows me that's a thing. And I'm just like,
that's a thing. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Like what I was getting at is that, like, I'm pretty sure, like, these high school kids, like, they don't know where they're going to go to school. You know, they may go to HBCU, and that's great. And so, yes, if they have that style down, then they are ready to go to that school. But if they wanted to go somewhere else, or if it just sets them apart from some of the other places that may not have those skills, I just always think, and I think this former student of mine is like living proof, right? That she is out dancing. She did some teaching for the Maryland Dance Day that we did. Since it was virtual, she was able to, I was like, hey, I have a student who does choreography and she could do it virtually. So that worked out. But, you know, she's teaching at conferences. She's, you know, she's still out dancing and performing sometimes. So a little bit of it, she was like, I'm done. I'm over it. I've done it for 4 years. I don't want to do it anymore. Or actually, you know, even in high school, she did it. But, you know, I think, what are you going to do after that, right? How are you able to then mix in some of the other skills that you have? And I think it just goes back to just being we also might have talked about this too, just being a universal dancer, being a dancer that has multiple techniques and multiple skills underneath your belt. So that way you're not pigeonholed as like, well, you only do this thing, right? And I think and maybe it's like me, like defending my background in dance, because I know that I wouldn't say I'm a master at any form or style of dance. Like, I wouldn't say, maybe modern, because that was like for 4 years, that's where a lot of my focus was. And so I have a degree in that. So, I feel like, yeah, that's where my focus definitely was. However, I feel like I want to know enough about a lot of different things, so that way I can share that, as opposed to being like, well, I only did Graham. Mm-hmm. And so I'm a Graham dancer, and that's great. But outside of that, what can you do? There's a bunch of other Graham dancers out there, right? That I could probably get, or I know. So what sets me apart, right? What sets you apart? So yeah, I just think that having more of an extensive training really is just going to help them go to other places. Or if there's just that one place they want to go to, it's just going to set them apart once they get there.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think so first of all, anyone listening who doesn't think that cheer and dance are two separate things, fix yourself. They're different. They're separate. So just want to put that in the atmosphere, because I just enjoy putting that in the atmosphere for people, because sometimes they get confused. Yeah. So on the cheer aspect, I was under the impression that if you are going to go to competitions and such, that being able to do stunts and such is, I dare say, a requirement. Or if you expect to do well, that you have to kind of at least have some basic stunts and tumbling like under your belt. So it is odd to me. Like, I get, like, when you have like the elementary school cheer team that, maybe you dial back, but then also when you go to those places that, I don't even know what you really call them, they're like just like facilities, but that's just what they do out there. And I know they go to competitions. They be having them itty bitty kids doing all the things.
All the things.
So I'm like, is the assumption that if you're doing it at school that you're not going to be competing? Like, I don't understand why that's not a more common thing.
Right.
And then when you get to, and again, I don't have much reference for HBCUs with cheerleading because I never paid attention. Usually if I was going to see the band because that was my life. And vicariously, I would watch the dancers because they were on the field with the band. So, but I know on the collegiate level, at least other like PWIs, they're still competing. And they still have to do all these things. And like, maybe you don't do all the things on the field, but you should be doing some of them.
Right.
I would think.
Like I don't ever, I mean, and maybe I don't watch enough of it, but are HBCUs involved in those collegiate competitions?
That is a good question.
I don't know. Like, do they go to like a NCA, UCA cheer competition, doing stunts and tumbling, right? Like, I will tell you this. I have watched those cheerleaders, obviously, because I was the assistant coach, but apparently I wasn't there, right? I will say I've never seen them do practice jumps. I've seen them practice stunting a couple of times, but I don't think they really knew what they were doing. And they didn't have I don't think they had anybody they didn't know what they were doing. They had a coach that didn't know what they were doing. I'm just gonna put that out there. So, it's really hard to try to like get comfortable with doing something when you don't know how to do it. And so, yeah. So, I mean, I know that they weren't doing that there.
There is apparently an HBCU cheer and dance national championship.
Oh, there is. Where is that located?
Let's see. Oh, do I have to? Oh, I got to put in information. We about to not find out.
Oh, okay.
y'all about to be asking questions. All right, let's see if I click on this. I don't like that it's cheer and dance.
No.
That is irksome a smidge, but it's fine. Not really, but y'all not gonna give me some information, guys. They have cheer 5. I'm not clicking on it. I've just decided I don't want to know any more information than necessary.
Right.
Because I won't be going, but I mean, hey, who knows?
Right.
Who knows? They have videos on here. I'll send you the link.
Okay.
Because I'm assuming I mean, they got hella videos posted. No destinations for anything though. Oh, but Instagram. Maybe I'll go on there. I'm just trying to figure this out. No, I don't want to sign in either, though.
I know. I don't know why hold on.
Oh.
This says I have a CIAA, which I don't know what CIAA.
Oh yeah, CIAA.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because CIAA, SWAC, MEAC.
What is that?
I don't know what those things stand for. MEAC is like, I think, the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. I might be saying what ME.
Oh, and I know what the SWAC. I know SWAC is the South. Yeah.
Yes. And
but like their cheerleaders,
Central something.
They said these are the Bowie cheerleaders, Bowie State cheerleaders, 2017. But they look like they're a dance team.
feel like I have follow-up questions.
Right?
I feel like there's so many questions, and I just want people to not blur lines. Is what I want.
Correct. Like, are you cheer or are you dance?
Yeah, like which one are you doing? Like, just and it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Because I understand that cheer has quotation fingers dance elements. I accept that. But I for sure can do dance all the time with not near cheer element. So.
And why are these? Oh my God, they are doing stunts. First of all, I mean, I guess you can do that without a mat. I mean, they're doing stunts and stuff, which is good. Oh, come on, get that leg up there. Okay, yeah. This is what I want to see. But let me tell you, you don't just learn that once you get to college. You have to learn it in high school. Okay. 2017, Bowie State, their whole squad could definitely do toe touches into a back handspring.
Okay.
So if I get this job, that's what we about to do.
Like, guess what y'all about to learn this year. And if you can't do it, you can kindly bring us our water. It is fine.
Right. It's fine. It's totally fine. Keep going. Yeah. When I coached cheerleading in Texas for 5 years. And one of the places I was at where the cheerleading was pretty intense because the parents were intense. If you want to be on varsity, you had to have a back handspring without, like, you had to do it on the gym floor. You couldn't do it on a mat or anything. And it was part of the tryout routine. And I had a parent, I don't know why this mom just really wanted her daughter to be on varsity, but her daughter could not do that back handspring without falling. And so she was like, oh, she really wants to be on it, but she doesn't have it. And I'm just like, well, I guess she'll just have to be on JV.
Yeah, so she'll be JV then.
She'll be on JV as a senior. And I know that sucks.
Yeah. But
or that year, I don't think she made it. But there was just some girls that, and it's hard in high school because that's what I want to get this cheer team to, even though it was a pain in the ass, but it's like, this is what I want. These girls, these parents wanted these girls to be on this team so bad. And they were like, well, you about to go to cheer practice and tumble so that way you can get on this team. And I kind of want that mom to be like, well, is there something that we can do? And I can be like, no.
Not at all.
There isn't anything we can do. Maybe she should try. You knew the expectations from day, like this rule has been in place at that school for years. If you want to be on varsity, you have to have that back handspring.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And just even as an outsider, if I'm watching who is supposed to be varsity, baby, you can't be falling everywhere. Like,
you can't be falling. Yeah.
That is not varsity.
And there was just such a level of like, I had girls who, the back handspring was like a yawn for them. They're like, what is, I got it. They were doing other things. And like, that was like our minimum. If I had still been at that school, I was going to say the back tuck was going to be varsity level. Yeah. If you don't have a back tuck, then what are we doing?
Because it should be like by that point, the expectation is you've been working on this stuff or you will work on it and get it because this is the level you want to be at. Right.
Exactly. So, I guess I'm glad to see that video because I had not seen that. And I guess because I don't see it in for saying that this university, and we've talked about this before, being that this university is right smack dab in the middle of our county, why are we not preparing students to be on that level?
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if that school is still on that level.
Now that is the real question, because I can answer that question in regards to other activities.
It's not.
It's like, yikes. Like I actually need to send this email making my request for what I want to do. And I'm like, this is my project. I got it. I just need you to sign off on space. That's all I need. Yeah. I got it. But then I'm like, y'all, we're gonna have rehearsals on a regular. Yeah. Like on a regular. And I understand that things have been done differently, but let me tell you how I run rehearsals. I'm in there and I run them.
Right.
Even if I'm like, okay, yes, you can choreograph one of the pieces for the group. Yeah, that's fine. But also you got to run that past me, because my high schoolers look better than anything I've seen y'all produce. And that's disturbing to me. Right. So let me help you get this up on track. Because then I look at other college dance programs and I'm like, y'all look like high schoolers, and not even like the top-notch high schoolers. Like y'all look like it'd be like dance 1. And I'm just like, if you're lucky, you get some dance 2 thrown in. And I'm like, y'all, we can do better. So let's do better. But then also, shady moment, they were kind of trifling the shit last semester because people do not hold their commitments.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, cool. I was like, if we gonna do this here production, you got to commit to being at rehearsals. You got to commit to actually working on the choreography. And I understand that you've been allowed to not have to do that, but you look like shit. And so I'm trying to help you not. I'm trying to help. Like, let me help you. And I understand, because there's some, I'm going to say some, I have specific names in mind, but being a good person. They ain't minor, so it ain't that, but being a good person. But that's like, oh, well, I already do these things outside. And I'm like, but you still don't look good, though, is what I'm saying to you. Just because you are the big fish in that little pond don't mean nothing to me.
Right.
I'm just saying, if you can't ever hold your core, if you can't ever do a good chassé without the little wrist flick thing, I fucking hate that wrist flick. I'm like, can we have clean fucking arms, please, and thank you. Like, you can't do a solid double. Nigga, no. Like, I'm confused.
Right.
Get out my face with that. Like, so I have goals and plans. So I need to send my request to ask for permission, because clearly I need to ask for permission to do anything.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens. But I'm like, because even if they green light everything, I still got to get the students to like get their lives together and to want to be better and to want to put in the work to be better.
Right. And I think that's going to be a challenge for me. I know in this, if, fingers crossed, in this new position, is that, even when I took over the band dancers, I hate calling them band dancers, but even when I took over the band dancers at my school, my very first year, they were so like, you always want to, they're like, oh, you always want to put technique in our dances. What?
Yeah.
I do always want to put technique in your dances.
Actually.
Yeah. Maybe. I mean, why not? You're dancers, right? Or we just want to buck the house down boots, which we're really also not that great at it also.
Look,
actually, I will go some of them were like, okay, I see. But then it's like, and this is the disconnect. This is where I want to definitely do more research on and get better at. It's like, I want to prepare these kids for all aspects of like their college life, right? Maybe they're not. Maybe they're just bucking at certain places, and they don't need, well, I don't care if they don't. They're still gonna get technique in my program. So
I'm like, all the top ones. All the top ones, and this is HBCU specific, all the top ones, they have technique though.
Right. All of them. Like one student came back to me a year later and was like, yeah, she was like, she couldn't get onto the dance team because she was like, their tryout was really like contemporary, but they don't even do that. They only do like hip hops and stuff, and they perform, but their tryout is like a lyric, like a contemporary lyrical, like ballet. I'm like, but that was also one of the ones that was like, you always want to put technique in our dances.
I was like, look what would have helped you. Look
what would have helped you had you had that.
See, I cannot. Because I'm a good one for that. I was like, it will be a straight, modern, contemporary audition. And yet, in like regular life, we're doing all the things.
Right.
I'm like that. I just need to be able to see you move and see how you pick up. So the style doesn't really matter to me. Right. I can see a lot from just watching you do the movement.
Right.
Man, these kids really don't be getting it. Or the ones who come back and they're like, you were right. And I'm like, I know. That's why I was giving you the heads up. I was trying to help you out. But y'all want to be how y'all want to be.
Right.
Yeah, because I'm like, I don't know. Again, I say just the good ones, the top ones.
Right.
That anyone ever does less than a double. And you got to get your ass off the ground in any leap.
Right. Right.
Like, I got questions. Like, what?
Right.
I'm like, what do y'all be watching that you think that that's not a thing? Right.
I don't know. I really don't know. But it's like but that's what I was saying is that it's changing that perspective, right? It's changing that mind that like these are going to be the things that are going to really set you apart, and this is what's going to really help you. And it doesn't matter. I mean, I feel like that's where I want to work with some of the HBCUs and say, like, this is what they're learning in high school. This is what we're giving them. They need to be able to see that on a collegiate level, or you should be doing that on a collegiate level. And I'm pretty sure they're probably like, well, some of these girls didn't get that want to come here. And so, but it's like, well, maybe you're not recruiting at the right places.
That, and also y'all can still always have like the entry level squads. That's a thing. That's always a thing. But like, you know what? Okay, baby, it ain't your fault. You couldn't choose where you went to school sometimes.
Right.
So if you can get through the audition and do this much, you can be on this squad with the hopes of moving up.
Right.
That's a thing that could happen.
Right.
But to your point of that communication between the high schools and the colleges, I think that there's not enough of that communication going on across the board. Not just cheer, not just dance, not just the arts, just period. There's not enough communication that's happening. Because if there was, I feel like there wouldn't be such a breakdown when they get to these places. It's like, because I mean, it still just boggles my mind that I can look at somebody who has been dancing for years, quotation fingers used, that cannot do a clean double. They don't hold their core about ever. They don't consistently point their feet. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to say this and then I'm going to try to let it go. Because people really love to act like any form of traditional African dance, any form of hip hop, any form of contemporary, that shit ain't got technique. Yeah, they all do. They all do. Literally all of them. So I don't understand perpetuating that idea and allowing people to just continue being a basic bitch because you just want everybody to be happy. I don't actually know that I care about anyone's happiness to the point that I'm not going to teach you correctly. I don't know that I care. Like, would I like for my students to be happy when they're working with me? Sure. But also, I was hired to do this job. I'm going to do that job.
Right.
And if you happy while I'm doing that job, be blessed. If you're not happy while I'm doing that job, be blessed. But I was hired to do this thing. My job is to prepare you. So let me do what I'm supposed to do. And, yes, am I still working on not being as harsh when I deliver some messages? Yes, I'm working on it, work in progress. But also, it is not in me to just keep telling people, oh, it's fine. Oh, you're doing a great job. No, that looks horrible. You gonna ever point your feet? You ever gonna hold your core? You ever gonna support your arms from your back? You ever? Right. You ever gonna spot? No, you're not. Right. Then this may not be the thing for you.
Right.
Or you're going to wait until you graduate and then you get out into the real world and shit hits the fan and then work on it. Cause I'm like, yeah, that could work. That works for some people. Like there's some who they get up out of high school looking a hot damn mess, get to college, reality hits them in the face, and then they get the shit together. So it happens. It's possible. But if someone is offering you the opportunity to not have to go through that struggle, maybe take it.
Right.
Maybe take it. So your life can be a little bit easier for you down the road.
Right. Right.
But I'm like, all of it involves technique. So I don't understand, because I know it can seem like only I guess you classical is not the word I wanted to use, but like dance for the stage, those things like the ballet and like the very strict modern, that those are the only things we mean when we say technique. And I'm like, can we get away from that narrative?
Right.
I'm like, all dance has technique to it.
All of it. Yeah.
I was like, bachata, for example. Oh, I'll give you an even better one. I'm going to give you a better one. Samba. Let me tell you what I'm not good at. The technique involved with samba. I got all these hips and they don't cooperate. They don't go all the directions they're supposed to go. And it blows me every time. And I keep trying. But there'll be people who they're like, oh, well, that's just that's something that people just learn growing up. It's an ethnic dance form. It's cultural, da, 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 da. And I'm like, and while that all may be true, it also has its own technique, very clear technique to it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, just because it's not the ballet and it's not like the version of modern that people usually are thinking of when they talk about modern, does not mean there's no technique involved. So us saying that these dancers need technique, and that even in cheer, there is technique to things. Like there's technique to pretty much everything you do in life, basically. There's a way to do certain things. Like it's not saying that they have to be trained specifically in certain forms, but there are some very fundamental things that do carry across, regardless of form, regardless of the continent that form came from. There are some things that carry, like being grounded is being grounded. It don't matter.
Right.
It just doesn't.
Right.
If you are grounded, that grounding is a thing across many different cultures.
Right.
It just is. Holding your core is just good for you, just for posture reasons.
Right. Exactly.
That's just healthy for you. Like it's just pisses me off because I'm just like, why? Because I'm not saying everyone needs ballet. I'm not saying that because I hate it. I don't hate it. That's not a completely accurate sentence. I hate doing it. I enjoy watching other people who do it who are great at it. It just makes me cry every time I do it because I'm like, God, this is not my wheelhouse at all. But I'm not saying everyone has to have ballet to be successful doing these things. I'm not saying everyone has to have modern to do this. I'm not saying everyone has to be classically trained to do these things. I'm like, but if you're going into something, there is a technique and it will behoove you
to learn it
and to have a sound technical base. I had a teacher, looking back, I don't like her. In the moment, it was fine. Looking back, I'm like, she was on some bullshit a lot of the time. Yeah. But she did make a good point that I did take that with me teaching, is that when I teach, I try to teach you to have a clean slate. So like that little wrist flick when people do chassés that I hate so much, I try to break that. Because I'm like, okay, if someone choreographically wants that there, then they can set that on you. But you need a clean slate of how to just do the technical mechanics of this movement. And that is not. I hate that wrist flick so much, and I'm like, why does that feel natural to y'all? Like that never felt natural to me. It is confusing.
Yeah.
But yeah, struggles be real out here in these streets.
It does.
I hope you get the job though.
Yeah, me too. Well, I can
do another thing.
I'm supposed to call them back, so you can.
Okay. Let me know. But I'm sitting here trying to just get a job. I'm about to be on somewhere talking about I'll be somebody coach. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
They may need some more.
Look.
They may. I know there's a couple of schools that because I originally applied obviously for this job at my school, but when I applied, it put my application out there for the entire county. And so I got like 2 calls from other schools asking if I would coach for them. And I was like, no, I'm actually really just trying to do it at my school.
I was like, look, I have no background outside of 5th grade. I can teach you to do a cartwheel.
Well, and they probably need to know that too.
And the splits. And I'm sorry, I teach because for some reason I think these things are different, but I teach dance splits, not a cheer split.
Yeah.
I was like, that back leg needs to be turned out for me at all times.
Right. Same.
I don't want that parallel.
Yeah, and it's very like,
So I'm just like, you will have the most dancey cheer squad ever messing with me, but.
Well, mine might be a little dancey too, but that's okay. They're gonna look good though. They're gonna look good.
But that's what's important here. As long as they look good, like we did what we needed to do.
Right.
But yeah, look, I might fool around and look for real because I'm like, but also need a source of income because working nights may not be the business because sis needs to sleep.
Right.
I got too much on my plate.
I hear you.
Work out. All righty. We thank y'all for joining us here yet again at Dance Talk Realness. If you have any questions, comments, observations, anything you would like for us to discuss, feel free to drop us a line. Be sure to like, comment, follow, subscribe across all the places where you can find us. And we look forward to bringing you some fresh new content next week. We'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.